The Universal Orlando Resort is one of the world's premier destinations. Located in Orlando, Florida, Universal Orlando is made up of 3 theme parks. Universal Studios Florida is the original park and it consists of major dark rides and heavy theming. Islands of Adventure is one of the best parks in the world for blending immersive theming with elite thrill rides. And currently, they're building their 3rd theme park, Epic Universe. This park is said to be one of the best of all time for immersive theming with high quality dark rides. This resort is one of the best places for entertainment, and recently, Universal has been making waves for elite coasters. Since Universal is one of my home parks, I've been going here every year since 2021. So today, I'll be ranking the coasters of the Universal Orlando Resort. Before we get started, I'd first like to note 2 things. First, as I said, Universal is in the middle of constructing its 3rd theme park, Epic Universe. This park is going to open with several new rides, specifically for roller coasters. However, Epic isn't set to open until summer 2025, and yeah, I'm not waiting that long to make this video. But let's quickly cover the 4 coasters here because they are interesting in their own way. First is the Donkey Kong Jump Track coaster. No, this isn't one of those clickbait coaster thumbnails that couldn't exist in real life. Themed to one of the Donkey Kong games, this is a set point boom coaster. This coaster's design has a fake track over the real track. This creates the illusion that you're jumping the track. It's a very safe ride and it would be a fun ride. Next is a mock ride spinning coaster themed to the werewolf. This is the tamest coaster at this park but features unique elements such as a swing launch. Next is Hiccup's Wing Glider, an Intamin family launch coaster themed to How to Train Your Dragon. This Intamin is very similar to Hagrid's over at Islands. This means that while it's not intense, it should still be a very fun ride with impressive theming. Finally, the major one here is Starfall Racers. This is a dueling mock multi-launch that looks to be one of the best in the world. The layout is filled with airtime and the dueling, combined with its alleged lighting package, should make it a spectacle. Plus, the setting and theme of the constellation should have a pretty good presentation. Second, Islands of Adventure has 2 rides that most people don't know if they're coasters or not. First is Dudley Do Right's Ripsaw Falls. This log flume is one of the best with its theming and drops, but that's the key word. People who consider this a coaster points to the speed hill that uses the mock track, but to me, this feels more in line with a traditional log flume. The other is the High in the Sky Seuss Trolley Ride. This is technically a mock powered coaster as this uses the same technical parts as other mock powered coasters. However, because the speed runs like a gosh dang snail, most people consider this a monorail. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a monorail. With both out of the way, let's get started. Number 9, Trolls Troller Coaster at Universal Studios Florida, a Vekoma Jr. coaster from 1999. As of right now, this coaster is currently sitting abandoned. Originally opening as Woody Woodpecker's Nut House coaster, this coaster closed in January 2023 to be rethemed to the Trolls franchise. So the coaster will open later this year. As for the ride, this is your very standard stock 207 meter junior model. You can pretty much find this exact layout at over 20 different parks. Since it's made for kids, the ride is tame and consists of shallow turns, but it's a great first coaster for kids to enjoy. Number 8, Flight of the Hippogriff at Islands of Adventure, a Vekoma Jr. coaster from 2000. Universal's other Vekoma Jr. coaster is the 335 meter model at Islands. This version is themed to Harry Potter as you traverse the course passing by different set pieces. As the 335 meter model, it's much larger and more like a family coaster. Like the last coaster, the turns and forces are extremely shallow and lack any force as they are meant for kids. But given the larger size and better theming, it appeals much more to families. And like the other, this is a great first coaster for kids. However, unless you go often or have a game plan, you're probably not getting the credit. You know how some enthusiasts will skip the kiddie coaster because they don't care about credits? This tends to happen a lot with Flight of the Hippogriff. Because of the family nature combined with it being Harry Potter themed, this coaster regularly gets 30 to 45 minute waits. So unless you have a game plan, probably best to avoid it. Number 7, Pteranodon Flyers at Islands of Adventure, the rare set point suspended coaster from 1999. One of 3 opening day coasters at Islands of Adventure, this is an extremely rare coaster. This set point coaster is a really unique suspended coaster because set point only ever built 5, with 3 still open today. However, riding Pteranodon is an absolute nightmare to ride. If you watch my ranking video on Canada's Wonderland, you know that I couldn't ride 2 coasters there because they wouldn't allow me to ride unless I have a kid. Pteranodon Flyers has this same exact rule, except they're even more strict because when I wrote it, they checked the height of the kid I was riding with. Originally, I was going to make a review video on this since 90% of this community has never ridden it. However, I've since scrapped the video since it mainly focuses on how to ride the Flyers, which would have doubled as how to get hot baddies in the bedroom. However, this would never work because for one, I'm probably the most unqualified person to be talking about that. And second, the last time I discussed something involving girls, that got an extreme amount of hate, with also very inappropriate and downright offensive comments. Just note that I rode this with my little cousin I was with that day, and this will be your best option for riding this. So since I actually have the credit, with this POV being the proof, let me explain what Pteranodon Flyer offers. The most important thing to note is that this is not the most extreme coaster. Think of this as a suspended monorail. Throughout the ride, you're soaring above the park as you get amazing views of the park. Add that with some light swinging for some variety. However, the ending really surprised me. At the end is this turn to the right next to Velocicoaster that suddenly swings you far into the left. Then the final break swings you around everywhere. It's an underappreciated ride that goes hidden due to its strict rules. Number 6. Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts at Universal Studios Florida. The intimate dark ride coaster from 2014. Gringotts is part of the massively popular Diagon Alley land of the park. This whole land replaced the problematic Jaws ride. Diagon Alley is filled with shops and eateries, just like in the films, such as these amazing butterbeers that are frickin' fantastic. Oh my gosh. The land's main ride is Escape from Gringotts. This is an intimate coaster that's mostly a 3D dark ride. The story is that you're helping the main gang from the movies defeat Voldemort in the Gringotts bank vault. While the ride is mostly 3D screens, the ride still tells a story, plus 2 tricks hidden to the guests. Skip 20 seconds to avoid spoilers. These tricks are a small tilt track and a tire launch. I don't remember how they ride because I only rode it once and that was 2 years ago. But I'll tell you what I do remember, the elaborately themed queue to the Gringotts bank and vault. That was cool as fuck. Number 5. Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Studios Florida. The premier ride's dark ride coaster from 2004. This iconic masterpiece is one of the most psychologically scary rides out there. The ride is themed to the Mummy movies and it feels straight out of a horror movie. Mummy replaced the problematic confrontation ride in 2004. Unlike Gringotts that's 90% moving screens, this is a dark ride with full physical sets that tacks a full layout on top of that. The coaster immersively takes you through the horrors of the mummy trying to steal your soul. The ride begins with a few show scenes before stopping in front of a screen. This screen shows masses of spiders. This results in you launching backwards into a dip. Now I wish this backwards section was extended because this is the only backwards part, because after this is a turntable for you to go forwards as you see the mummy projections. Then you hit this LIM launched lift hill, hitting 44.4 miles per hour, a forceful launch due to the incline overcoming gravity. This is where you go through a spaghetti bowl section filled with floater airtime. Finally, you hop into the brakes, completing 2,200 feet. Oh my gosh, what the hell?
Prepare to forfeit your souls.
Yep, Mummy has a fake out ending with the Mummy animatronic and the whole room lighting on fire. That's a theme with this ride, is that there's a shit ton of fire effects on this ride. You actually end out the ride with another twister bowl of airtime. Your actual ending finishes with Brandon Fraser not getting his cup of coffee. This ride is a full package and a must ride to do. Oh, and take advantage of the ride's single rider line, as this will cut your wait time by 90%. It's worth noting that every single major ride on this list has single rider lines so you can get on faster. Number 4. Incredible Hulk at Islands of Adventure, the B&M sit-down looper from 1999. This is hands down Universal's most iconic coaster. Pretty much everyone I know knows about the Hulk. Hulk is a unique B&M sit-down looper. A lot of you probably know about Kumba at Busch Gardens, Tampa, 2 hours away from Universal. I mention this because Hulk and Kumba are so dang similar, mainly that both are intense green 7 inversion B&M loopers. Only difference is that Hulk has a faster paced layout. This is due to an uphill tire propelled launch at 67 miles per hour. This is a very forceful and intense launch. That follows with one of the whippiest 0G rolls B&M has created. This inversion is filled with heavy whip, laterals, and positive Gs. Then what follows is a series of inversions and turns common on other B&Ms like Kumba. These inversions are littered with G-forces that will make you gray out. Now the second half after the mid-course brake run runs rather slow and sort of kills the pacing of Hulk. But where Hulk really excels is in the presentation. The ride has a well-themed queue, even if the rest of the ride was bare bones, and even includes a soundtrack. Just listen to this. Now both of these were updated in 2016 when Universal retracked all of the Hulk. Long story short, running the Hulk at full capacity every day for 16 years pretty much destroys the track. So Universal decided to not only replace the entire track of the Hulk, but also update the presentation. As a result, the Incredible Hulk is running very smoothly with no hint of a rattle. Now it does have over-the-shoulder restraints, but headbanging is not an issue here. Incredible Hulk is one intense coaster. Number 3. Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit at Universal Studios Florida. The Mauer X car coaster from 2009. Okay, I'm probably gonna get some amount of hate, so let me explain. Rip Ride is one of the most hated roller coasters in the world due to its rough ride and its mid-course brake runs. However, I actually like Rip Ride because to me, the ride is really fun. What I like is the many ejector-filled airtime moments found on this ride. I'm mainly referring to the first drop in that non-inverting loop. But even the mid-courses are fun as the ascent and descent has airtime. Plus, even some G-forces on Rip Ride with the 2 different helixes on the ride. Yes, the ride is definitely rough. However, my extreme tolerance to roughness means I can enjoy Rip Ride. Part of that is the restraints. The main trademark of the X cars are these trains with those lap bars. Some people hate how the lap bars rest on your stomach, so stapling makes it hurt more. However, I find these lap bars to be fine and even helps with the airtime. Plus, the thing I love is that you can play songs from different artists while you're on the ride. That's one of the main things I love about Rip Ride. However, one thing I will criticize is the lack of theming. Unlike every other ride at this resort that is well themed, Rip Ride is just a bare coaster and that's it with no theming. The queue line and station is essentially a big hotbox room with little to do. You can't even go on your phones because Universal makes you put it in a locker and go through metal detectors. For 3 of the coasters here, including this, Universal requires all riders to put their loose articles in lockers and go through metal detectors so that you aren't riding with their shit in their pockets. This came following an incident on their now defunct Dueling Dragons coaster where someone got hit by an iPhone and had to get their eye removed. So now you have to wait bored while looking at nothing. The lack of theming might be due to the lack of funds aside for theming. A while back, I made a ride analyze episode of Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. You can check it out in the description, but here's the cliff notes. Rip Ride had a bunch of random issues during construction and even now that blew the budget of $42 million. This is where the roughness of Rip Ride comes from, but for me, I really enjoy it. Now for all the haters, where are you coming from? No joke, while at the park, I ran a survey where I asked over 200 guests whether they like Rip Ride or not. Guess what? All 200 people I asked said they liked it. That's right, all 200 people I surveyed that day didn't even dislike Rip Ride. So where are all you haters?
Right, off you go. We'll beat to the edge of the Forbidden Forest.
Number 2. Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure at Islands of Adventure, the Intamin Straddle Coaster from 2019. This is a perfect example of why theming is everything. Hagrid's is the definition of a storytelling coaster as you traverse twists and turns filled with impressive set pieces. The ride is themed to Hagrid's from the Harry Potter franchise, taking you on a trip through the Forbidden Forest. Every part of Hagrid's is themed to the nines as you pass all sorts of animatronics. Plus, unlike most coasters, the layout of Hagrid's is actually pretty decent. The 7 launches, yes, all 7, have some punch. The low to the ground turns do have some force. This is exacerbated if you're sitting on a motorbike seat. One thing to note is that the trains are a combination of motorbike and sidecar. The motorbike seat specifically is more exposed and higher off the ground, and the cream of the crop are 2 hidden tricks. Skip 20 seconds to avoid spoilers, so here they are. This is a spike to a backwards section that's followed by a drop track. Hagrid's is a very complete package. Just be careful when you go ride this because Hagrid's regularly has the longest wait at the resort. Every single day of the week, the coaster will constantly have 2+ hour waits all hours of the day. To put this into perspective, I've been going to Universal since 2021, yet I've only ridden it 4 times. 2 of them require me to stay at a Universal hotel, wake up 6 in the freaking morning, avoid getting Starbucks so that you can make it to the front of the entrance by 7 o'clock, wait a whole hour for the park to open at 8 o'clock as the early entry crowd backs up to the gift shop, then once the park opens at 8, run straight to Hagrid's. And I do mean run as guests will sprint to this attraction. Using this strategy, I managed to get a back row ride with a 7-minute wait. By the time I got off, Hagrid's already had a 2.5 hour wait. This was at 8:15, might I add, so you don't exactly have options for a short wait. But this coaster makes me salty a little because this replaced the beloved dueling dragons. These were unique pairs of B&M inverts that intertwine each other to create unique visuals. Both inverts were forceful, and the visuals of almost colliding with the other train makes it for a unique coaster. Unfortunately, both coasters closed and were scrapped in 2017 after years of maintenance and decline in popularity. Luckily, Hagrid's is worthy of its replacement. Number 1. Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure, the intimate LSM launch coaster from 2021. Around the same time Hagrid's opened, plans leaked for an extreme intimate launch coaster. This would evolve into what we know as Velocicoaster. Velocicoaster is regarded as one of the best roller coasters in the world. This is because Velocicoaster is the definition of a perfect roller coaster. Just like Hagrid's, this is one of the most well-themed with impressive set pieces. This is one of the only coasters I actually enjoy waiting in line for, but unlike most coasters with this level of theming, Velocicoaster has a layout that rivals most top 20 coasters. Every element tries to pop you out of your seat in some way, shape, or form. This is especially apparent in the second half with the Top Hat, Twisted Hills, and Speed Hill, but the first half surrounds you with rock work mixed with dinosaur props. Both launches have a decent amount of kick to make it forceful. However, the inversions are the real star of the coaster. The Immelman and dive loop in the first half has great lateral hang time, but the second half shows the perfection of Velocicoaster. This 0G stall is extremely elongated, which provides extended moments of hang time, but the very best part of the ride is the Mosasaurus roll. This is a whippy fast heartline roll over the water. The Mosasaurus roll gets its name from one of the dinosaurs in the water in the first Jurassic World movie. The barrel roll is littered with hang time, whip, and laterals. This makes it one of the best inversions of all time. If that's not amazing enough, you take this layout using Intamin's beloved new gen lap bars. Velocicoaster is one of my favorites of all time, and the craziest part is that this isn't even the best roller coaster in Florida. But that's only because Iron Gwazi exists. If you haven't been here yet, you should come down to Universal and ride this masterpiece, because this coaster will give you something to remember by. So that is my ranking of the coasters at the Universal Orlando Resort. Before I sign off, you're probably wondering my predictions on where the Epic Universe coasters would rank. So here's a list of where I anticipate they will rank when I ride them. How do you rank the coasters here at Universal? Leave all that down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, which if you watched at the end it means you did, you can help by leaving a like. Also, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. We have more content like this lined up, and this convinces the YouTube algorithm to push these content to more viewers. Finally, watch these two videos that popped up on your screen when you're done. This is the Coaster Flood, riding out.